At 3 days old, a kitten's world is a vacuum of light and sound. The eyes are sealed shut. The ears are closed. The only physical realities are warmth, the pressure of other bodies, and the scent of milk. Beneath this sensory deprivation, the brain is already hardwired for a singular task. A primal drive forces the kitten to push forward on legs that barely work, following the heat of its mother's body. That heartbeat is the only signal that matters. This sensory baseline is what we call the warm dark. It is an existence defined by physical proximity and internal rhythm, a state that stays locked in the brain's machinery as the kitten's world begins to expand. By 5 weeks, the eyes have opened and the environment is suddenly overwhelming. A standard living room couch becomes a towering cliff face. A shoe resting on the floor is the size of an entire body. The world is too bright, too vast, and completely alien. Then the kitten meets the giants. They move on 2 legs and make meaningless sounds. When a hand 5 times the size of the kitten's head reaches down, every nerve says to run. But instead, physical contact triggers an involuntary vibration. The body purrs before the brain understands why. At 8 weeks, this fragile geography is disrupted. The kitten is placed in a trembling box that smells of plastic and strangers, then released into a room it has never seen. The response is defensive paralysis. They press flat against the cold floor and hide under a couch for 6 hours. The giant doesn't chase or reach under the furniture. Instead, it lies flat on the floor, shrinking its scale to meet the kitten at eye level. It breathes slowly, places a piece of food on the ground, and waits. Survival in this new universe requires a compromise. The solitary predator makes its first tactical adjustment. It allows a giant to exist within its territory. By 4 months old, the house is no longer a mystery. The tat systematically claims the territory by rubbing its facial pheromones on every doorframe, table leg, and bed corner until the home is physically saturated with its scent. This diagram shows how they map time onto space. At 3 o'clock, a square of sunlight lands on the hallway floor for exactly 40 minutes. The cat charts hidden pathways under the sink and memorizes specific acoustic signatures: the click of the front door, the hiss of the water heater, and keys hitting the table. This is no longer a house. It is a precisely managed perimeter. At 3 years old, the cat is a biological machine at the peak of its efficiency. Every muscle and instinct is tuned for the hunt. Even behind a window, the internal calculation runs. The pupils blow wide to drink in light. The brain processes distance, speed, and angle of approach. The hindquarters tense and the claws flex into the carpet, ready for a strike that remains purely theoretical. For an apex predator, mapping the environment is a survival requirement. Tracking every sound and sightline creates a space where nothing moves without being accounted for. That map is disrupted when a new, smaller animal enters the house. It is loud. It runs when it should freeze. It touches the food bowl and rubs against marked corners, violating the scent markers the cat has spent years establishing. On the 4th day, the intruder walks up and pushes its nose into the cat's fur. The cat breathes it in. This small thing has finally absorbed the scent of the house, and the standoff ends without a hiss. It is integrated into the territory. Eventually, the cat claims the most important space in the house, the pillow right beside the giant's head. It waits until the giant's breathing slows and the body goes heavy, before stepping into the dip beside the head. In this spot, the cat and the giant are synced. They share the same physical space and the same slow, heavy breathing, merging their biological rhythms for the night. At 10 years old, the perception of time shifts. The birds outside move too fast to track. The springs in the legs are quieter, the hunger in the muscles is gone, and the predatory calculations stop running. This diagram shows how the internal map contracts with age. The sprawling network of pathways and markers dissolves, leaving only a small triangle connecting the 3 points that still matter: the sunbeam, the water bowl, and the bed. The giant's map is changing too. They move slower. They make a sound of effort when they stand up. Lifting the cat onto their lap, which once seemed effortless, now requires a shift in weight. Both are becoming heavy and still together. The independence that defined the cat's prime begins to fade. When the giant reaches down to move the cat from the window to the food bowl, the cat no longer struggles or jumps away. Instead, it simply leans its full weight into the hands that lift it. At 13, a visit to a clinic brings a new realization. A stranger touches the cat with cold hands, but it's the giant's hand that feels different. Through the fingers, the cat can feel the giant's heartbeat. It is too fast. The giant is afraid. At 14 years and 9 months, the physical world begins to blur. All the familiar sounds of the house dissolve: the click of the door, the hiss of the water, the jangle of keys, all of it fading as the edges of the room go dark. The giant lies on the floor again, eye level with the cat, like the first day. They don't reach or chase. They just stay there, breathing slowly. The giant's hand is on the cat's side. The heartbeat is slow and deep. One more time, the body triggers a low rolling purr, an involuntary response that the cat's body has always decided for itself. The eyes close. After a lifetime mapping of vast universe, the geography has come full circle. The cat is returning to the exact warmth and the exact dark it started with, before its eyes ever opened.